long time.
Yeah, I mean, I started playing when I was very young, 2, 3 years old. You have that, old hockey story about the dad building the rink in the backyard. And my dad was very much that guy. So I had a rink when I was a little kid and played since I was a wee lad and just played my whole life. So.
You grew up in Ann Arbor, I think. I hope that doesn't mean you were a Michigan fan.
I was a Michigan fan, but I defected and came here for college. So.
What was the key to your decision in making that wise choice?
Oh man, well, there were a lot of them. But when I came down on my first visit, freshman year of high school, I walked around, got to see the campus, met the coaching staff, and that kind of laid let's just say it set a very high precedent when I went on my other visits after that, and nothing really compared in my mind.
Bryan, also from Michigan, were you focused on hockey from a young age? Did you know it was something you wanted to do moving forward in college and maybe even professionally someday?
I started when I was probably 5 years old, a little bit later than Ian, and I kind of started because my older brother played, and I kind of wanted to do everything that he did, and I kind of knew that I might be good at it and might want to continue to do it. Kind of when I was 12, 13 years old, I saw that I had a little bit of talent and I might be able to do something with it, and yeah.
And so how did you end up when it came time? I'm sure you had a ton of options. When it came recruiting time, how did you end up deciding on coming to Notre Dame?
Well, like Ian, I was a Michigan fan growing up, unfortunately. I'm sorry to say it. And my older brother played hockey in Michigan, and I was always compared to him growing up, and I was always Little Rust, and it was kind of I wanted to branch off and make my own path, and I came here and had my visit and immediately fell in love with the place.
Well, I know all Notre Dame hockey fans are glad that you did. Ian, when you first arrived, you were one of the top players on the team right away. And that freshman year, you guys went to the Frozen Four. How exciting was it for you to go from playing high school hockey to all of a sudden you're on kind of the biggest stage in collegiate hockey?
Yeah, it was certainly kind of a trial by fire thing. Got a lot of responsibility coming in here, playing for this team and playing a lot of minutes right away, which was great. And then the ability for our team to play so well. Had a lot of big wins and go to that national championship game my freshman year was, again, set a high precedent because I didn't reach that again in my time here. So, but yeah, I mean, it's a huge testament to that senior class that we had that year. They were unbelievable.
Coach Jeff Jackson is a legend here at Notre Dame, but really in hockey in general, he's a legend. For each of you, what's kind of your what's the most important thing that Coach Jackson instilled in you that's allowed you to succeed at the next level?
If he was here, I would say too many things to name just one. But no, he always used to get on me. I would always practice hard, but I never really pushed myself, to your limit per se. And he really instilled in me in my 3 years here to do that, and I think that became really beneficial as I became a professional hockey player. There's a lot fewer practices in college. You play a lot more games, so the ability to go out and try to get everything you can out of each practice, is huge for your development as a hockey player.
How about you, Bryan? What's the most important thing you learned from Coach Jackson?
He really showed me that, like Ian, I got to work hard day in and day out, and I can't just be an offensive player, because that's kind of who I was coming in here. I got to play a 200-foot game, play all areas of the rink, and play hard, and kind of focus on the little details day in and day out, and build on things every day. You can't just show up to the rink and have things kind of work out the way you want to.
Ian, you were drafted 18th overall in 2007 in the NHL draft. I think still the highest any Notre Dame hockey player has ever been drafted. You ended up making the decision after your junior year here to turn pro. How difficult of a choice was that?
It was difficult. You never want to leave, basically your best friends. You never want to leave the place you called home for 3 years. But when it came down to it, that was the right decision to transition to professional hockey. It ended up working out pretty well, and I was still able to come back the 3 summers after that and graduate. So as much as I liked being able to play I'm just a college dropout card, I can't do that anymore, unfortunately.
All right, well, congrats. Bryan, you had an incredible career here on the ice. You led the team in scoring your senior year. When you look back on your hockey career at Notre Dame, what's your fondest memory?
My junior year, we won the CCHA championship, and being able to raise a banner in the new rink and celebrate that with lifelong friends that I made here is something that I'll never forget.
And for both of you, when you look back on your time at Notre Dame, off the ice as a student, what's most memorable to you? What was the most meaningful part of your Notre Dame experiences?
It's hard to put a finger on one thing. It's kind of everything put together. It's the tradition of the place, how everybody loves coming back here and kind of taking in all the events, whether it's sports or not, whether it's hockey or not. It's kind of how everybody loves it, and when you step on campus, there's kind of an aura about the place that it's kind of irreplaceable.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think the culture of Notre Dame is so unique that everyone cares so much about not only the sports teams but the university as a whole. So I think to really kind of invest in that, and obviously kind of get that payback is awesome. Just being here and getting to come back now, especially as alumni.
Ian, your first few years you were with St. Louis. You I think last year was your first full season with the Penguins. It didn't start out as well as it ended. By in December, you guys I think were out of the top 8 spots for the playoffs. What was it that allowed the team to turn around from being kind of below 500 to eventually making the playoffs?
Yeah, we always knew that we had a good team. I think that everyone was confident in the locker room that we had a good team. For whatever reason, it wasn't working out in the first half of the year. I think there's quite a few reasons as to why it turned around. I think one of them, obviously, we had a coaching change, which certainly, as a player, you take some responsibility for. If everyone was playing great, there wouldn't be a coaching change. So, you kind of, that happens and you kind of look in the mirror and say, hey, what can I do better? So Coach Mike Sullivan showing up certainly helped us a lot. He held guys accountable, which is great. When he came, he brought some of these young speedsters with him, which really changed our pace of play for sure. We were able to really ratchet up the speed, and I don't think any team in the league could hang with us after that.
Yeah, so Bryan, Ian mentioned one of the key developments in January. You kind of came up from the Penguins minor league team. You've been up a couple times before, but you stuck around this time. How rewarding was it for you to kind of find your permanent place in the NHL?
It's definitely feels nice to know that your hard work has paid off, and I guess it really helped that I had a coach that I was really familiar with, and Coach Sullivan knew that what all of us young guys were capable of, and knew that we could play in certain situations, and he did have the confidence to put us out there when things were on the line, so that obviously really helped.
I think, Bryan, you scored 4 goals in the regular season, and then the playoffs started and you exploded. You had 6 goals, I think, throughout the Stanley Cup playoffs. What got into you that made you go on such a successful run there in the playoffs?
I don't know whether it was luck or just getting the right bounces or playing with the right guys or whatnot, but I guess I just was able to get a little more confidence and felt a little more comfortable as time went on, and that led me to make some more plays.
Maybe the most memorable performance was in Game 7 of the conference finals when the Penguins won 2-1 to advance, and you scored both goals. So what was it like for you, when you kind of after the game took a step back, and in December you were playing in the minor leagues, and now all of a sudden you scored the 2 pivotal goals to send the Pittsburgh Penguins to the Stanley Cup Finals?
It's definitely it was a unique experience because I was just trying to play as hard as I could and do whatever I could to help the team win, and then scoring those 2 goals as it was happening was just okay. It's just helping the team win, just doing what I want to do. And then kind of after the game, Nick Bonino, one of our teammates, was like, "Hey, how's it feel to be a Pittsburgh hero?" And kind of stepped back a little bit and was like, that doesn't sound right. This is, but after that, thinking about it, it's just one of those experiences that I'm never going to forget, and to be able to rise to the occasion on such a big level was, I definitely had a little bit of luck, but it was definitely so rewarding to see that just kind of working hard got me to the right place.
Well, Ian, you're a defenseman, so not known for scoring goals, but in Game 4 of the Stanley Cup Finals, you scored a goal of your own. How, was that a dream come true for you to score a goal in the finals?
Yeah, it was. Usually when I was a kid, the overtime winning goal in Game 7 is what I scored when I was dreaming about it. But I'll take the goal one in Game 4. But no, it was awesome. It was an unbelievable feeling. Obviously, the first goal in a playoff game is huge. It's such a momentum builder. That's something as a team we always want to try to get. So being able to do that, and I think kind of to piggyback off what Rusty said about everyone kind of doing their job. Like Rusty stepping up the way that he did, everyone was able to step up from guy 1 through guy 24 or 5. And that's why we were successful in the long run. And whether it was Rusty in Game 7 of the Eastern Conference Finals, or me in Game 4, or whoever else, or Sidney Crosby, everyone stepped up and raised their game, and that's why we were successful.
You brought up Sidney Crosby, obviously one of the, maybe the best player in the world right now, and one of the best of all time. How special is it for you guys to get to play along guys like Crosby and Malkin, some of the best in the game?
Yeah. It's awesome. It's amazing. I mean, these guys are all world talents. You asked why Rusty exploded in playoffs, because he was playing with Evgeny Malkin, and that's why. But no, I mean, these guys they're unbelievable talents. They're two of the best players in the world, and playing with them is stressful because they see things that not everyone sees. So they're always open. They always want the puck, but they push you in a way that's it's the best way to get better. That's really the only way to see things differently, is try to think of it from their perspective, and they see it so uniquely that it's a challenge sometimes, but it's a real treat, obviously, to play with them.
Bryan, you guys ended up taking the title in Game 6 against the Sharks. When you look back on it in those final seconds, as time expires, and you're now a Stanley Cup champion, that's a feeling that none of us are ever going to experience. What's going through your head at that moment?
You see the clock winding down. I think somebody threw it out of her zone. I think it was Sid kind of threw it out of her zone, and there was, I think, 6 seconds left when I looked up at the clock, and I still got ice on my finger because I had broken my finger. And you just think about the hard road of how you got there, and the bumps and bruises and the ups and downs and kind of everything, and kind of a wave of emotion hits you. Got a little teary-eyed on the bench as the clock hit 0, and then it's just, after that, it's pure excitement, pure joy, so much energy on the ice. Guys are hugging each other, and it's just, everyone's got a huge smile on their face, and it's just something that kind of everyone dreams of when they start playing hockey.
Ian, after you guys win the cup, the days, the months after, if when you're walking around Pittsburgh, it's a huge hockey town. How special is it for you to interact with the fans now that you brought home the cup?
Yeah, it's awesome. Pittsburgh is an unbelievable town. I really knew nothing about it until I was traded there, and was so pleasantly surprised by everybody that I met in Pittsburgh. They're unbelievable fans. They're extremely knowledgeable. They're very, very passionate, which, if we're not playing well like we were in the first half and they're booing us out of the rink, it's maybe not the best, but when we win, they ride that high like nobody's business, and they're unbelievable fans. And I had the big red bushy beard for playoffs, so people actually recognize that, and they were really nice, super nice people, and we're definitely very excited for sure.
Obviously, the tradition is that when a team wins the Stanley Cup, each player gets to kind of spend a day with it. What did you do with the Stanley Cup when you had it in your possession?
Oh man, had a pretty packed day actually. We went to Children's Hospital in the morning, Ronald McDonald House after that. Got lunch with some of my buddies from high school. Went to a kind of a public viewing at the local rink that I played at. Then we went back to my parents' house for a party from like 6 to 10 p.m. and then took it to a couple bars in Ann Arbor after that. So it was a long day, but it was great to be able to share it with quite a few people.
How about you, Bryan? What did you do with the Stanley Cup?
In the morning, played around the golf with it. That's always been one of my favorite pastimes. Use it as my ball marker. Got a little bit of an advantage. I would mark behind, and maybe I'd give myself an extra foot or so with the cup. And then after that, had a little reception, friends, family, a lot of people I hadn't seen in a while, and friends I grew up playing hockey with and went to grade school with. It was awesome. Took about 1,000 pictures, and then chilled out for a few hours. It's a pretty special thing that you can kind of just sit on the couch and watch TV and have the Stanley Cup sit on the coffee table right there next to you. And then, like Ian, at night, kind of went out to a local bar, rented it out, and had a little fun.
We talked earlier about Sidney Crosby playing with maybe the greatest player alive now. You guys are also get to be around Mario Lemieux a lot, one of the owners of the Penguins, and certainly one of the greatest hockey players of all time. How special is it for you, to get to interact regularly with Mario Lemieux?
It's definitely something that's very unique. He walks in the room and he has a presence about him that is known. You know when he walks in the room, and kind of all eyes go to him, and you know what kind of person, what kind of player he was, and all the great things that he did accomplish as a player and now as an owner and kind of businessman, and just being able to be around him and kind of talk to him and get some kind of notes here or there about things it's awesome.
Well, I know we have a number of Penguins fans in the audience here, so we want to move to the audience Q&A part of the program. So raise your hand if you got a question for these guys. We'll come around with microphones, and got one over there.
Question for both of you. Who would you say is the craziest or funniest player in the locker room?
Last year, funniest guy in the locker room, I would say, was Jeff Zatkoff, one of the goalies. His mouth was always running. You always knew when he was around. He was always laughing, always joking around. He's just one of those guys that kind of helps with your team chemistry and makes everything a little more light.
You said the funniest and the craziest. I would say the craziest is Patrick Hornquist. This guy is the most intense person you've ever met in your life, and he's kind of like the human version of like a Tasmanian devil, a little bit. And he's always going a million miles an hour everywhere, and he's absolutely insane. And just watching him is absolutely hilarious.
All over again? Would you have left Notre Dame early if you did all over again?
Like earlier?
Yeah. Like you left. You said you left your junior year.
Yeah.
Would you have stayed for your senior year?
Well, should I have stayed? I think it worked out well. Just the timing for me personally. Would I have loved to stay? Yes. I think so much of professional sports depends on timing, what opportunities you have. So if the timing works out, if there is that opportunity, you want to try to seize that as best you can. I contemplated leaving after my sophomore year, but the realistic thought process in that was that if I left after my sophomore year, I probably wouldn't be graduating since I had 60 credits left. So I think it was pretty well known, at least with our coaching staff and stuff, that I was probably going to leave after my junior year. So everyone was on board with that, and everyone kind of understood that. So it wasn't a huge surprise for anyone.
Who else has a question for the guys here?
Go Pens. I got your shirt there, Russ.
I think you need a Colsey shirt.
Yeah, she has it. She didn't wear it though. So
Okay.
Compare Gino's and Sid's personality.
Well, Gino's very Russian. Awesome guy, but very quiet. We were joking at rookie party this year that he knew about half the guys in the team's names, and probably even less first names on the team. But no, he's actually a great guy. I mean, he's had a reputation for maybe not caring as much, but from everything I've seen after being there a year, he cares so much. And Sid is one of the most competitive guys on the ice that I've ever seen. Off the ice, he is the most down-to-earth, most humble guy, greatest guy to be with. On the ice, he is the most intense, competitive person about the littlest, dumbest things, like where the nets are positioned in a 3-on-3 cross-ice game in practice. But he just wants to win in everything he does, which I think is the reason that he's such a good hockey player and a great captain.
I don't know how much more I can add to that. I guess with Gino, he kind of stays to himself a little bit, and then there's times where he's always cracking jokes, and he'll be one of the loudest guys in the rooms as well, which is kind of catches you by surprise a little bit because he is Russian and his English isn't the best, but he's a good lighthearted guy. And then Sid, like Ian said, he's just an unbelievable guy to have around. He's always trying to help, especially me this year, and all of us other young guys, where to go downtown, what places to eat, what are fun things to do, things like that. He just tries to help kind of everybody feel as comfortable as possible.
Any more questions? We got one over here.
Hi guys, congratulations on the Cup. I'm curious, how excited are you for this upcoming World Cup? And how would you rate that compared to like the Olympic competition? And then finally, do you have any predictions?
For me, I'm really excited about the World Cup because I wasn't old enough to really know about the last World Cup of hockey. It's interesting. I think it's more exciting than the Olympic hockey because I think all the teams are kind of on an even scale, with Team Europe being one team and then the North American Young Stars. And that's something that it makes it, anybody can win in any game. But I think the favorite is obviously Canada. But I'd like to see Team North America, the young guys, really kind of surprise everyone. I think that they're really what they showed last night in the exhibition game can really kind of open some eyes.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I mean, I think the talent pool for that tournament is so deep. I think it's almost deeper than the Olympics because, I mean, Canada could have fielded 2 teams at the Olympics, right? And that's essentially kind of what that under-23 team is. I mean, it's guys that are so immensely skilled and so fast that, you know, teams are going to have a tough time keeping up with them. And yeah, I mean, we're changing our travel plans so I can get back. There's an exhibition game in Pittsburgh on Wednesday. So I'm driving back to Pittsburgh on Tuesday just so I can go to those 2 games in Pittsburgh, and because I really want to go see that under-23 team play and Team Canada play, and go wear my Sidney Crosby jersey and cheer them on.
I think we got another question over here.
I haven't been around, so I came over. I don't know if this was asked. Did you guys get to see Anders Lee?
Yeah, we've been here all week. We had a pro camp, so we were with all the alumni guys all week.
Cool.
Yep.
Excellent.
Any other questions? Got time for one more, I think. Everybody shy? All right. Well, guys, you won the Stanley Cup last year. You're heading into a new season. You're obviously one of the favorites going into the year. What's the expectation for the Penguins heading into this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone's really excited for this year. We're in a unique situation in which we didn't have to sell the farm in a salary cap league to win the Stanley Cup. We have pretty much everybody back except one defenseman, Ben Lovejoy. He's the only guy that's not in our team that was on the team last year, which I think puts us in a fantastic position to repeat. Obviously, the short summer makes it a little tough, but I think the excitement for this year is just as high as it's ever been.
Bryan, are you ready to continue your scoring tear that you went on in the playoffs, carried over into the regular season?
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think I'll be able to do that. I'm gonna certainly try to, but I'm excited for this year to start. It'll be really fun to be able to get back there and see how all the guys' summers went and kind of get back at it knowing the potential of our team, just because, like Ian said, we got pretty much everyone back, and anything could happen.
I know you guys are going to be honored on the field at the football game tomorrow, and I think you're going to have the cup with you. on the field, so everybody will get a thrill out of that. Before we let you go, do we have a prediction for the football game tomorrow?
An Irish win by a lot.
Ian?
I'm going to go with, well, after that shootout last week, I might have to go with a 35-28 win. Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, thanks so much for taking the time out to be with us here today. Congratulations on winning the Cup. Everybody give it up for Bryan Rust and Ian Cole.